Hello, fellow internet
deviants.
It's me, Drew Bop, and welcome back to yet another episode of Swooning Over Stands. Matchmaker Mabel is gonna set me up on a date, y'all. So hopefully that's this episode. If not, we'll have to see the events that lead up to the date. But I got a good feeling that something romantic's gonna happen this episode. I just have a feeling about it. During the next few days, you, Ford, and Dipper get further into the DD and MD campaign you left off on, and you have time to flesh Alex out to complement Tyros and Vernon on the team. Dipper tells you the 3-person troop is typically small for a DD and MD group, but you've been getting the hang of the game, mostly from taking advantage of Ford's helpful nudges in the right direction. You've noticed Ford staring at you during the game sometimes, and you can't deny that you've been caught doing the same. After your, fateful chat with Mabel, you're on edge and wait for her to pull something out of her sleeve. Every time she bursts into a room with fistfuls of crayons, you jump at least a foot in the air. But you've been doing your best to pretend everything's normal, or at least as normal as it gets in Gravity Falls. You ventured out into town earlier today and did some tourist-worthy exploring, and ran into the Pines family at Greasy's Diner about an hour later. According to a giddy Dipper and an exasperated Ford, a door to another plane had appeared in the fridge instead of food. Post-documentation and inspection, and lots of skeptical squinting from Dipper and complaints from Stan, Ford had suggested they all just wait it out. It was gone by the time you got back. You secretly hoped to catch a glimpse, but when you asked Ford about it, he assured you it was nothing special. Wouldn't even have ranked among his top 10, he'd said, pushing his glasses up on his nose. After that series of fridge-related events, the shack fell quiet. Dipper ventured out with his camera equipment off to film something amazing, and stands in his office, checking in with his sources, whatever that means. That leaves you and Ford, both intently reading on the shack's patio. It's warm and comfortable, yet the overhang shields your eyes from the blinding summer sunlight. You glance over at Ford. He looks calm and collected, same as he's been all week. Conversely, you've been a little nervous around him ever since Mabel's matchmaking interview. It's not that you haven't thought of him in that light before, it's just that you never planned on actually trying it out. You can always ask Mabel to call off the matchmaking thing. After spending the past couple of days convinced that Mabel was going to spring an unavoidable romantic situation on you at moment's notice, you'd rather not live with that kind of anxious anticipation. You settle back into your book, a paperback Ford lent you. It's a jargon-heavy sci-fi with an abstract cover you probably would have overlooked on a bookshelf, and you think you're about to see the first glimpse of the plot after a 3-chapter introduction. You go to turn the page of your book, but the back door slams open. Mabel explodes onto the porch, armed with oven mitts and an apron. "Bob, Grunkle Ford, I need help, and I need it now." Ford sits up with a wide-eyed look, fixing his glasses that had been startled off the bridge of his nose. "What is it? Is something burning? Is something burning in the kitchen? I need help baking. Oh no." Ford relaxes enough to leave a bookmark in his dog-eared novel and close it, but looks to Mabel with an air of bewilderment. "Grenda's throwing a... What? Girl, hello?" I'm gonna put this into Google Translate, and I'm gonna let Google say it. Grenda's throwing a...
Grüß dich.
Hasenpfötzchen.
Party for Marius when he comes back to visit, and I volunteered to make cupcakes. I was like, yeah, I could totally bake a batch of cupcakes. But as it turns out, smoke unfurls from the back doorway, inevitably followed by the screech of the fire alarm inside. Mabel wrings her mitted hands and winces guiltily. "I can't." Mabel rushes back into the house, you and Ford coming close after. You reach the door in time to see Ford, unruffled, drag a chair over to the smoke detector and disable it as easily as flipping a light switch. As for the smoke, you go straight for the kitchen window and open it, fanning the smoke out of the house. Mabel looks guiltily at you both, attempting to waft the smoke out with her oven mitts. Now that you really look at her, you notice there's flour on her sweater, and the kitchen floor, and the kitchen counter, leading to one lopsided bag of flour surrounded by a similar mess of ingredients. Looks like you could use a hand. Mabel, why didn't you ask for help much sooner? I'm sorry, Grunkle Ford, I wanted to make them myself. She wilts under exaggerated despair. But I needed these cupcakes and I need your help. She points at Ford. And your help. Then she moves her pointer finger at you. Oh dear. Both of you absolutely need to help me with this. Mischievous child. She looks between the two of you with those Mabel patented puppy dog eyes, and whatever will you had left to resist crumbles immediately. You pat her shoulder reassuringly. It's alright, Mabel. Baking is a difficult art, and even professionals have off days. And, you glance at the oven that's still leaking, lingering smoke. I think adult supervision might be good right now. Mabel nods, looking between you and Ford. Well, it'll be easy peasy with you and Grunkle Ford helping me. You look to Ford, and Ford looks questioningly at Mabel. Why would you need both of us, Mabel? I don't know, why would she need both of us? Ford? Why would she need the two of us to help? Because we need to make like a bajillion of these. So many. This is a huge party. Plus, the more people that make them, the more love these cupcakes will have. There needs to be so much love in these cupcakes. That doesn't... Please, Grunkle Ford, you and Bob are super conveniently the only ones who can help me. Maybe Dipper. He's out filming. He won't be back till sunset. It's gotta be you two. Ford glances hopelessly out to the hallway for one moment, and Mabel gives you a conspiratorial wink while he's not looking. And then it dawns on you. This is your match-made date with Ford. Is it getting hot in here, or is it just the oven? Oh, Lord. Well, please, Grunkle Ford. Bob is already gonna help out, right, Bob? Yes. That's what I want. Hard picking up its pace, you hazard a look at Ford to find him looking oddly contemplative now compared to before. He looks to you for a fleeting moment. You catch out of the corner of your eye. His attention's back on Mabel by the time you register it, and Ford nods at her. I can't help it. He's down so bad for me. Alright, what do we need to do? Yes! Okay, first rule in baking, wear an apron. There's never a wrong time to make a fashion statement. Mabel holds two aprons out, one scarlet red and the other white. You have absolutely no idea when Mabel even retrieved these aprons in the first place, but she's already picked who gets which one. The red apron is tossed to you, and the white one is thrown to Ford. You put it on and look down at yourself to read an upside-down, "Burn, baby, burn," printed across your chest, with a picture of a fiery grill beneath it. Fittingly, it smells a little like burning. Ford's apron has some green text you didn't quite catch, but as he loops it over his head and ties it on, you can read it clearly. It's gonna be... Man, it's gonna be something goofy and flirty. That's so dorky! I love him! You stifle a laugh as you read. Text now clear over his broad chest. My other oven is a Bunsen. Oh, I get it, like a Bunsen burner. Hey, it suits you. Oh yes, science joke, cause you're cute. Hey Ford, are you made of copper and tellurium? It only takes Ford a second to flush pink with understanding, fiddling with the hem of his apron. What can I say? Call me the Rizzler, baby. I got this old man locked down. Okay, Mabel, what's our next step? The second rule in baking is to know your recipe. It's got everything. The ingredients, the instructions, the temperature. Ford looks to the counter and picks up a piece of paper. You guess it's the recipe, judging by the frilly-looking photo of a 3-tiered cake on the back. He scans over the ingredients, focused. And the third rule in baking is to forget your recipe. No, that's actually probably the worst thing you could do. That's only if Rule 2 doesn't work out. How are we looking, Grunkle Ford? I was worried we'd be short on sugar, but I think we'll make it. Are you switching recipes, Mabel? There are ingredients listed here that aren't already on the counter. Mabel laughs loudly and attempts to clap Ford on the shoulder. She only manages to reach his elbow, and you suddenly suspect that whatever baked good Mabel had burned in the oven earlier was a fabricated failure. I should have known. You glance at the stovetop. The open box of store-bought cookies sitting on top confirms your suspicion. Oh, Grunkle Ford, you tell the best jokes. That wasn't a joke. Oh look, we need flour and I already have that out. Next. Ford reads the list of ingredients aloud and Mabel darts around the kitchen, gathering them as he calls them out. You set to work finding the utensils Mabel needs, searching through unfamiliar drawers she points out to you. After opening nearly every cupboard, you come up with an array of mismatched measuring cups, 2 half teaspoons, and a dented tablespoon. Good enough. How many cupcakes do you need for tomorrow, Mabel? At least 100? You give her an undisguised look of incredulity. Oh no, not this word. You give her an undisguised look of
incredulity.
And Mabel sends back a series of gestures telling you to go along with it, pointing at Ford's thoughtful face and mouthing, he bought it. So since the recipe makes 20 to 25, we have to make quintuple, right? Because it's better to have more than less. If we make quadruple, we might only end up with 80, but at least if we make quintuple, we'll at least have 100. Exactly what I was thinking. If we play our cards right, we could get an exact 120, making full use of the cupcake pan each time. I'm so smart, yes. You're bewildered that Ford doesn't question the quantity. Instead, he's starting to factor in how many acceptable cupcake pans he can find in the cupboards, grumbling as he searches through the clangs and dull thuds of other bakeware. Ugh. When is the last time Stanley... Oh, there you are. Looks like we have one that's rusted and one that hasn't. Bob, get the pan that's already in the oven. If we can manage to clean it... No, definitely uncleanable. It's totally burnt. Batter everywhere. Bop, can you... Mabel makes gestures to disposing evidence of her baking failure, and you wince, but nod. Seizing your chance while Ford's back is turned, you open the oven, grab whatever is inside with the oven mitt, and rush outside to drop it in the trash can midway around the shack. It turns out to be a couple store-bought cookies dropped in a muffin pan and left to burn to a crisp. Mabel! You shake the cookies out into the trash, leaving you with a still hot but perfectly serviceable pan. Take the pan back and call it a miracle, leave the pan here, and back up Mabel's claim. Oh no. What do I do? I don't want to be dishonest to him, but we're being dishonest anyway, you know what I mean? Like, we're already lying. And then what if he finds the pan? What if he finds the pan? I'm gonna take it back and call it a miracle. I'm gonna save though. I'm gonna take the pan back because I don't want him to see it in the trash and then be like, why did you lie? You know what I mean? You return to the kitchen. Look, the pan is actually fine. How lucky. Ford gives Mabel a musing look. Yes, how fortunate. Mabel gives Ford a winning smile, which must be enough because Ford lights up with a smile soon after, shaking his head fondly. See, it worked out. You see that Ford has brought a mixing bowl out while you were gone, and wiped away most of the excess flour from the counter. He settles back into the role of recipe reader now that you're back. I've already turned down the oven to the correct temperature. Mabel notably doesn't look sheepish in the slightest, still grinning in front of the mixing bowl. See, it's all working out. This is really cute. So our next step is to add butter. I'll measure it out, and so you settle into a rhythm. Mabel measures ingredients and tosses them in. Ford reads out the recipe, pausing occasionally to balance out Mabel's haphazard method of throwing ingredients into the bowl, and you mix everything into a suitable batter. 2 ingredients later, you notice that Ford rolled his sleeves up to his elbows as he works. You could get used to the sight of him like this. You don't notice Ford returning your stare until he clears his throat. Apparently, your ogling lasted just a moment too long. Bob? Yeah? I just added the first cup of flour. You could stir it in now. Shit. Oh, right. Ford adds another cup as you stir the ingredients together, trying to ignore how red your face feels. Aw, look at you two, working so well together. It's like you don't even need me to be perfect. You know she's talking about the matchmaking, but Ford doesn't take it that way. That's not entirely accurate. You're an essential member of our baking trio. I love him. I love him so much. After all, who else is creative enough to come up with a unifying theme for all these cupcakes? You're right! I haven't even thought about that yet. Mabel, standing on a chair next to Ford to reach the counter, hops up and sits at the edge of the counter. Lovey-dovey or lovey-dovey? I can't decide. While Mabel works it out with her creative genius, Ford scoops out the last cup of flour, going to wipe the excess back into the bag with his finger. Wait, I have the perfect idea! She lifts her arm in triumph and promptly sends Ford's heaped cup of flour flying. Ford fumbles to catch it but ultimately fails, and the cup, along with the bag, fall into the mixing bowl, sending a mushroom cloud of flour into your faces. Man! Flour cakes Ford's glasses, along with his nose, cheeks, and forehead, and the front of his hair to the point where the color is indistinguishable from his usual streak of gray. Mabel, thankfully sitting to the side at her perch on the counter, only got half covered in the explosion of flour, even though she's already got various spots of flour all over her sweater. Oops. It's okay, Mabel. Here, take this and dust the flour off. Mabel attempts to brush flour off her sweater as Ford takes off his glasses, blowing puffs of white from the lenses and wiping them clean with the hem of his turtleneck. He manages to clear most of the flour off his skin, but he missed a spot. I'm wiping it off. If that's an option, I'm wiping it. Ford? I'm fine. I've had many messier adventures in my time than a bit of flour. No, that's not it. There's a lot of flour still in your hair. Brush his hair out yourself. I'm just gonna do it. I'm being bold. I'm gonna do it. You reach over to brush it out. Ford gives you an uncertain expression but stands still, letting you make contact. Your fingers only run through his hair for a second, but it was enough time for you to register how fluffy and flowery it is. You can't help the smile that tugs at your lips as you finish. You just had some flour there. Did I? He's blushing, it's working. Mabel has stopped dusting herself off and is now looking between you and Ford with such anticipation that you're getting self-conscious under her attention. Ford seems to notice too because he takes an unnecessary step back and awkwardly clears his throat. Right. Flour. Mistake. Let's fix it. The three of you take a moment to stare at the disaster zone on the counter. Looks like the only thing we can do now is guess how much flour was added and scale the amounts of the rest of the ingredients to match it? I was going to start over. But that's a brilliant idea, Bob. Let's do it. Mabel, do you have another bowl for this operation? Good thing I found this mega big bowl for mixing. Mabel presents a vessel more akin to a tub than a mixing bowl. It's clean though, and Ford transfers the batter over. Good call, Mabel. Are you secretly a psychic? Nope. Just a little thing I like to call the power of Mabel. She does exaggerated jazz hands, shaking more flour off in the process. The three of you laugh before beginning the post-flour mission. Due to the mishap, you now need 4 times the other ingredients to match the flour that got dumped into the bowl. An inconvenience, but not impossible. As you measure out more sugar, you spot Ford adding to the bowl by cracking 2 eggs at a time in each hand. Oh my god. Oh my god, crazy. Show off. The kitchen is quiet during the bustle of measuring, adding, and remixing, but after a couple of minutes, Mabel sighs. What's up, Mabel? I don't know, Bob. It feels silly to talk about. Nothing is too silly. Well, that's a broad statement, but the point is we're willing to listen. Well, Grenda and Marius are throwing this party on Marius's yacht, right? You have no idea who either of these people are, but play along for Mabel's sake. Yeah? They're really getting into that romance zone. Grenda even told me that they kissed. Scandal, scandal. Ford only gives this a mild acknowledgement, so you have to amp up the reaction zone. They did not. They did so! Can you believe that? I seriously cannot believe that. Ford looks lost as he continues to mix the batter together. And I'm really happy for Grenda, I am, but sometimes I feel a little jealous. Grenda's like one of my best friends. I don't get why I can't just be happy for her without feeling this way. Everyone feels like that sometimes. You just have to let that feeling simmer inside you. Everybody feels like that, girl. That's okay. All you can do is try your best to stay positive for her, even if you're feeling a little bitter inside. And just know that eventually this feeling will pass. Really, everyone gets this way, even with friends. Doesn't mean you're a bad friend or anything. Aw. Thanks, Bob. And anyway, if this is about the romance, Mabel, you're only a teenager. You might feel like you're watching your friends get married and settle down so quickly, but that doesn't start happening until you get to 25. That's so real! You're a wonderful girl. You're smart, pretty, and you can probably make a mean batch of cupcakes. I know that whoever you end up loving will be lucky to have you, and that perfect relationship will come your way. In time. Mabel seems to brighten and she smiles at you gratefully. Then she looks thoughtful. Getting married. I wonder when someone I know will get married. She's not specific, but Ford pointedly coughs into his fist. Wait! We need to make these cupcakes extra special before we can bake them. I thought they already were. Weren't we going to split this into 3 parts, add food coloring, and marble them in? No, that's just special. I'm thinking extra special. I'm thinking explosion rocks. Like Pop Rocks? You mean that tiny candy that makes your mouth all tingly? Exactly. I'm gonna go grab my supply. Mabel dashes out to get the candy, leaving you and Ford alone in the kitchen. Yes! Yes! Every time I get a piece of art, it feels like I've won. Normally you'd expect the atmosphere to turn awkward, but you find yourself anticipating something instead. You give Ford a smile. I'm gonna lose it. Good job calculating how much we needed to salvage the cupcakes. Ford laughs, leaning back against the counter. Oh, I just eyeballed it and adjusted based on the batter's apparent viscosity. No calculation involved. And well, I couldn't let all our hard work go to waste after you suggested salvaging it. I don't get it. You wanted to start over? Well, I had a whole plan in mind. We were going to quintuple the recipe, and now it's more like octuple. But I think this was the better route to take. Now that I think about it, that was the last of our flour. Wait, damn. Stanley needs flour for pancakes this week. They can swear. I love it. I love to see it. We could take cupcakes for breakfast instead. We're gonna have plenty of extra. Knowing him, I think the probability is very high. You were about to say something else, leaning in to continue the conversation when Mabel re-enters the room. She's carrying a cardboard box stuffed to the brim with bright packets of explosion rocks. I'm back! Alright, let's add these puppies in and make some cupcake magic. You and Ford start helping Mabel decant the explosion rocks into the batter. Ford glances at you as you shake the last packet into the bowl. Both of you know that the consumers of these cupcakes will get an unpleasant surprise from them exploding in their mouth, especially since the multicolored candy makes the batter look like unassuming funfetti cupcakes. Then it's time to split the batter and marble them in the pan. The 3 colors Mabel chose are deep purple, blue, and pink, which she says ties in perfectly with her theme. So are you going to tell us what the theme is yet? Nope. Let's get these in the oven. Ford picks up both pans and sticks them in the oven to bake. There's still plenty of batter in the mixing bowl. You've barely skimmed the surface with the first batch. You and Ford share another look. All right, it's time for the best part, frosting. What kind do we have? It's not what kind do we have, it's what kind are we making? Mabel presents another recipe card. Oh geez. Thankfully, the frosting is far easier to make than the batter. By the time you and Mabel separate the sugary results into a few different bowls for coloring, the first batch of cupcakes came out of the oven 10 minutes ago and have cooled down on the counter. As Mabel puts it, they're ready to be Mabelified. Ford grins at her as he starts dyeing a bowl of icing bright pink. Decorating the cupcakes is by far the most fun part of the afternoon. The three of you sit around the kitchen table. Mabel purposefully sits you and Ford next to each other, while she takes the remaining spot, and you use different frosting tips to make designs on all of the cupcakes. Mabel had finally revealed her theme to be outer space, because space is full of romance, and this way I could say their compatibility is out of this world. So the three of you cover marbled cupcakes in galaxy-worthy combinations of colored frosting. That's really cute. Ford, to put it simply, is delighted by the theme. You're pretty sure the constellations he painstakingly iced on his last 25 cupcakes would pass as illustrations in a stargazer's guide. In the middle of completing a second Orion, Ford gets some icing on his face. A drip of blue somehow made it onto his chin, probably from testing the icing to make sure it tasted good. It did, of course. Mabel kicks you from under the table. Girl, I gave this man a heart attack enough when I ruffled his hair. Now you want me to get icing from his face? Ow! And she nods her head at her grunkle, giving you a meaningful look that Ford completely misses. He wipes most of it off, but there's now a streak of blue at his cheek. So you... duh, dude. I'm gonna wipe it off. Mabel watches you both expectantly, but you aren't sure you have the guts to do what she really wants to do. And besides, you're not sure Ford's ready for that. You opt for plan B instead. Here, I'll get it. You reach over with a napkin and gently wipe the streak away, hoping he doesn't notice how your hand shakes with nerves from the close proximity. Ford is also hyper-aware of how close the two of you are now, and you can't ignore how his gaze drops from your eyes to your lips as you inch closer to wipe the icing away. Bitch! I need to take a minute, everybody. I need to take a minute. Breathe, breathe, breathe. This man is made of colors and lines. I'm geeking. I'm freaking out, y'all. Oh my god. Holy shit. There. I got it. Ford's cheeks almost match his sweater. Oh, thank you, Bob. Eventually, the three of you finish decorating over 100 cupcakes. Looking at them all lined up on the counter, you can finally see the decline in quality as you, Ford, and Mabel got worn out. The last few have frosting in solid colors with just a handful of star-shaped sprinkles on top. I can't believe we're finally done. Yes, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I've had enough of the night sky to last me the rest of the week. Oh, but we're not done. Mabel sounds about as peppy as she has all day, even though she must be as tired as you and Ford. There's just one last thing to do. Clean up? Because we have a huge mess here. No, Grunkle Ford, more important than that. More urgent, more desperately needed. Ford looks perplexed. What could that be? The glitter! Mabel pulls over a sizable tub of blue edible glitter that had been sitting at the back corner of the counter for, you're guessing, the whole afternoon you've been in here. Unscrewing the lid reveals its sparkling, shiny contents. Each of you grab handfuls of glitter, sprinkling liberally over each cupcake. The only person who seems to be hesitating is Ford, who keeps stopping to attempt glitter gradients in order to keep his earlier icing work clear of glitter. Mabel always comes in after him, though, and fills in the blanks so that the whole thing sparkles. Soon enough, the tub is left nearly empty. Great! All of these are for the party. Except this one's for Dipper, and one's for Grunkle Stan, and this one's for Waddles. Mabel puts the exceptions aside, and in the end, the three of you grab a cupcake each. As a reward for an afternoon's hard work, you tap them together in a pseudo toast and absolutely devour them. The cupcake tastes odd, but that's what makes it amazing. It's probably the explosion rocks. You can detect, the faint spice of love and
Adoration.
a good, if not perfect, cupcake. The remaining cupcakes are strategically fitted into the pantry among the cheese boodles and various other snack foods, ready to be brought to the party tomorrow afternoon. Mabel stretches and yawns dramatically before grabbing the plate of cupcakes that had been set aside. Well, I better get these over to the boys. You know how Grunkle Stan gets when he smells something cooking and doesn't get a taste. You're not quite sure you do, but Ford nods knowingly, so it must be true. Anyway, I'll leave you two lovebirds alone. Thanks for the help, and you're welcome for my help. Mabel sends a wink and a finger gun as she leaves. And now it's just the two of us. Just the two of us. Your heart freezes in your chest as Ford looks at Mabel's exit with an unreadable look, then faces you. You see, I know what's going on. This isn't the first time Mabel's tried to find my match. You can't find the words to express your mixture of relief and confusion. Ford explains. I suppose she's at that age where kids are thinking about romance and dating. Stanley and I are just two of her recent subjects for these compatibility experiments. Last time, Mabel reached out to Mermando to set me up with a merman. She didn't tell me what kind of situation it was, so I unknowingly grilled him with enough scientific queries about merpeople to send him back underwater with a grumpy burble. Ford gives you a small, genuine smile. But I can't say it's all been bad. After all, I haven't managed to repeat that kind of mistake here yet. Man, he's so cute. I just wanna grab him and kiss him and ugh. If you did, you'd be surprised by how much I know about merpeople. So, how do you think this match is going? I'm not gonna high five him. How do you think this is going? Ford shrugs, though he's sporting a light blush. I think this one has potential. You both look around the disaster scene of the kitchen. Since Mabel conveniently had other things to do, she left you and Ford with the task of cleaning everything. Ford rolls his sleeves up and adjusts his glasses. Come on, let's get this kitchen cleaned up. Chad, do you think he has a crush on me? So, the way this works is that the art pieces you get, there's 6 for Ford and there's 5 for Stan, and I just got the 3rd one, and so I think I'm supposed to be like halfway through. I'm a little less than halfway through, but I think we're doing okay. I hope, I pray, because my God, if I don't get together with this man at the end of this playthrough, I'm gonna be so devastated. Thank you everybody so much for watching. My face is red. I'm blushing like an idiot. I love it. I am forever indebted to the creators of this game because it brings me so much joy to play. If you like hanging out with me and if you like watching my videos, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. I put out videos at least once a week. And for those looking for more content from me, I also stream on Twitch. You can find me at twitch.tv/its_me_drewbop. Come hang out with us over there. We get weird and we do weird stuff and we have a weird time. So come get weird. Come get weird. And for those who want to keep up to me, you can follow me on social media at its_me_drewbop. You can find me on most major social media platforms, or you can just click the links in my description below. Chat, I think he has a crush on me. And I have a fat crush on him. Hopefully I can keep it together and I can keep being cool and suave and hot and cute and whatever in the next episode. So